If you believe money can protect you from everything, this story may change your perspective. 6 months ago, my life looked perfect from the outside. I had power, wealth, influence, and a family that seemed complete. People admired what I had built, envied the life I lived, and assumed I had everything under control. But perfection can be dangerously deceptive. Beneath the surface, there were cracks I refused to see. My name is Clara Whitmore. I am 35 years old, and I was raised to believe one principle above all else: power is everything. My father built one of the largest real estate empires in the country from nothing, and by the time I turned 30, I wasn't just his daughter anymore. I was his successor, his legacy, the future of everything he had created. To the world, I was unstoppable. The media called me brilliant. Investors trusted my instincts. Competitors feared my decisions. But none of them knew the version of me that existed behind closed doors. The one who came home each night not to power, but to something far more meaningful. My husband, Julian, was nothing like the world I came from. He had no wealth, no connections, and no interest in impressing anyone. And that was exactly why I fell in love with him. He was real. He fixed things instead of replacing them. He remembered the smallest details about me. How I liked my coffee, what made me smile on difficult days. Most importantly, he knew how to make our daughter, Lily, laugh when the world felt too heavy. With Julian, I wasn't a businesswoman or an empire builder. I was just human. We had been married for 7 years, and our daughter had just turned 5. For a while, it felt like I had discovered something stronger than power. I had found peace. But peace doesn't survive long in a world built on control. My father never accepted Julian. He never openly insulted him, but his disapproval was always present, in his tone, in his silence, in the way he looked at him as though he didn't belong, as though he was temporary. One evening, that unspoken tension became clear. Julian had gone upstairs to put Lily to bed, and my father leaned toward me across the dinner table. "You still have time to fix this," he said calmly. I laughed, thinking he was joking. "Fix what?" "This marriage." His tone was cold and direct, as if he were discussing a failed investment. "I'm already married," I replied. "You can change that." "I love him," I said firmly. He didn't hesitate. "Love doesn't build empires." That sentence stayed with me. Not because it shocked me, but because of how easily he said it. To him, love wasn't strength, it was weakness. And in that moment, I realized something unsettling. My father didn't see people. He saw value. Still, I believed there were lines he would never cross. I was wrong. The night everything changed began quietly. Rain tapped against the windows, and I returned home late from a meeting. The moment I stepped inside, something felt off. The house was too quiet. There were no small footsteps running toward me. No laughter, no excited voice calling Mom. I called out for Julian. There was no answer. Then I saw it. A white envelope on the table with my name written on it in his handwriting. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside were divorce papers. Signed. Final. It felt like the air had been pulled from my lungs. I ran through the house, checking every room. Closets were empty. Drawers cleared. His phone was off. Then the realization hit me. Lily. I rushed to her room. It was empty. Her favorite toy was gone. Her small suitcase was missing. My daughter was gone. That moment didn't feel real. It felt like my life had been erased and replaced with something I didn't recognize. I called Julian over and over again. There was no response. By morning, I was barely functioning. That was when my father arrived. Calm, composed, almost as if he had expected this. He glanced at the papers and sighed. "So, he finally did it." "What do you mean?" I asked. "He left," my father replied. "Men like him always do." I was too broken to question it. When I told him Julian had taken Lily, he dismissed it casually, saying she would be returned soon. Then he told me to sign the papers. Something inside me resisted. Julian wasn't the kind of man who would disappear without a reason. That belief stayed with me, even when everything else felt uncertain. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. 6 months passed with no answers. I tried to maintain control, to continue my life, but nothing felt stable. Then one day everything changed. I was visiting one of our construction sites for a routine inspection. It was supposed to be just another ordinary day. But as I walked through the site surrounded by dust and noise, I saw someone familiar. A man carrying a heavy cement bag across his shoulder. His clothes were worn, his posture exhausted. But his face. It was Julian. My body moved before I could think. I walked toward him, faster with every step, until he turned and saw me. Shock, fear, and relief flashed across his face. The bag slipped from his hands and hit the ground. Before I could stop myself, I slapped him. 6 months of pain exploded in that moment. I demanded answers. I asked why he had disappeared, why he had taken our daughter, why he had left me without explanation. He didn't argue. He didn't defend himself. He simply stood there and listened. Then he spoke. "Your father came to see me." Everything stopped. Julian explained that my father had threatened him. If he didn't leave, he was told he was a stain on the family name, an embarrassment to the empire. If he refused, our daughter would disappear. In that moment, everything made sense. The pressure, the silence, the urgency my father showed when pushing me to move on. Julian hadn't abandoned me. He had sacrificed everything to protect us. That realization changed everything. That night I didn't cry. I didn't break. I made a decision. 1 week later, my father hosted a grand gathering filled with powerful people. He had already chosen a new man for me, as if I were simply another deal to be arranged. When I entered the room, all eyes turned toward me. I stood there and told them the truth. I revealed the threats, the manipulation, and the reality behind my father's empire. He denied everything, of course, but doubt had already been planted, and doubt is powerful. I removed my wedding ring, placed it on the table, and told him he could keep his empire. I chose my family. Then I walked away. Outside, Julian was waiting. Together we left everything behind: wealth, power, status, and started over. It wasn't easy, but it was real. Over time, my father's empire began to crack. Rumors spread. Investigations started. For the first time, he wasn't in control. As for me, I never went back. Not to the mansion. Not to the business. Julian and I built a new life. Not with wealth, but with peace. And for the first time, I understood something my father never could. You can build the largest empire in the world, but if you lose your family to protect it, you've already lost everything. So now the question is simple. If you were in my place, would you choose power or love?